स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। We saw in the Navadha Bhakti proclaimed by Bhagavata, wherein the small child Prahlada is telling his father Hiranyakashipu what best he has got in this world, having taken this birth in this world, is the Navadha Bhakti. And we saw the first one, Shravana. How the Shravana transforms, just hearing transforms our whole existence and turns it from the materialistic world to the spiritual world, from the ragadvesha of the world to the divine love, love of the universe, love of all beings, love of nature. From the mundane, how it turns your consciousness to the eternal, how it helps you to transcend the nature and go beyond. And with Shravana, the journey begins. The inward journey to the eternal, to the self-knowledge, to the knowledge of this universe as God, to the knowledge of the Lord, pervading it and governing to the knowledge of the absolute existence in which the whole universe appears and disappears. So this inner transformation that we undergo is the most essential thing from the hearing. But hearing, we see, suppose we go to some lecture somewhere, we hear, or to hear Harikatha, we go somewhere, hear and come. We reach the home, we have heard and understood, appreciated the whole lecture and enjoyed the glory and the magnificence of the Lord. And we have returned back home and people ask, what did you hear? Can you tell us a little? Suppose I have heard for 1 hour. We will not be able to reproduce even a little of it. I have to try to recollect. Then I will see, oh, what did he say? It was so nice. I got almost mesmerized by hearing it, but I am not able to reproduce. What is this? Means our nature, human limitation, and especially of earlier times, earlier days, centuries ago, millions of years ago also. As the human race existed at different times, there were times when man had tremendous memory power, tremendous capability of mind being fixed any time in anything, naturally available. Now we are in the phase of decay in the Kali Yuga, and our mind is so weak that we are not able to hold it on like any instrument. You see recordings and all, how verbatim the expressions, small expressions, the voice differentiation, everything, how it records. So does our mind has that capacity, has that voluminous memory status, but we have no practice and we are not cared to cultivate it, to develop it, to make it a part of our tool to hold on. So next thing the Bhagavata insists upon is smarana, recollection. Smarana is constant recollection. The Shravanam, what we hear, Smarana is what we recollect. In between there is a bridge, Kirtanam. Kirtanam is repeating what I have heard, recollecting what I have grasped, what I have understood, what I have learned, what I went to somewhere, some guru we saw in the Shravana, either we go to Satsanga, Guru, or do Adhyayana ourselves, and what we have learned, what we have got, what we have understood, what we have to, and when I loudly tell so that a few hear, or to myself in solitude and silence, that I rehear my own voice. Japa is where I repeat it without being heard by me or others. And Kirtana is where I loudly tell, sufficient for me again to hear. I hear my own voice. When I tell something, then it becomes Kirtana. It is often put to some regular tunes, beautiful tunes, that I go on repeating the glories and whole picture of what I have heard, the form of the Lord, the Leela of the Lord, the mainly His magnificence, that is His greatness, glory. And these factors regarding God, what I have heard and what I can revisualize, I can bring it to my mind, and as if I am seeing in front of my eyes, to sink within myself. Now we see the rains fall, how the dry earth receives that and assimilates. The assimilation is an important part of what is received. The earth receives that rain and gets absorbed slowly. You see that rain is falling and all water is not going away. As the water is flowing out, the earth is slowly getting assimilated and the water table below is slowly raising. At the depth, if you see, within a rainy season, so many feet, perhaps 100 feet or so, water has reached the table. So much of water is being absorbed. Similarly, when we hear something, it is something like rain falling. And when you do the kirtana, it is like assimilating within. It is settling down. It is entering every part. Why should you do kirtana? Is you hear your own voice which is going to resonate. It is resonance. It goes on. It's just like you put the baby, when making the baby sleep, you go on tapping. And the next tap, the mind doesn't go in between anywhere. The child feels that one tap, and before it can change its mind or go anywhere, another tap is there, another tap is there. Its mind remains in the perfect presence. It leaves the past, it leaves the future, it doesn't jump about anywhere, and the child slowly keeping that one present slowly enters into. Otherwise, its mind will be going, it cannot sleep. So it goes on tapping. Like that, the various ways that I have conceived God in and through the Shravana, Adhyayana, in Satsanga I go on hearing. From childhood, my parents, mother have made me to go and bow down before an image, saying that this is God. Try to see God in Him. This is the, and various rituals, this, that they try to follow at home, invoking God, feeling the presence of God in an image, loving it, offerings and all giving. How clearly the whole picture adds to my existence, adds to my feelings, and then the whole picture presents in my mind. And this absorption, assimilation is absolutely necessary for me to, when it comes back, we call it Shravana, Smarana. Smarana is what comes from within. Shravana is what is going inside. Kirtana is assimilating and making it settle down within ourselves. It has to slowly, not only settle down, it must pervade my whole being from skin to the core of my existence at all levels. It must be filled the name of God, His glories, His form, the love, His beauty, His compassion, His how He lifts the jiva, His love that makes me release from all bonds and sufferings. His that motherly love, the vatsalya with which He treats. You can just imagine the Prahlada's life, where like a mother, he grabs the child in the end, keeping on the shoulder. That is the whole picture. Whatever you read regarding God in personal aspect of life, one thing you don't forget is the infinite eternal being that has come to you in personal form. Second is whole Leela, in which you can dissolve yourself to reach the beyond. So the assimilation and all that we see is this. We are grasping and making the whole transformation. Transformation means not only physical, from physical, the pranic level, the psychic level, the intellectual level, the whole thing is the heart, the emotional level, all levels of my being are filled with Him. When I see a person, I must be able to see divine. I must be able to recall God. When I have to work something, I am designing some house, then I must be able to see the divine, my acts divine, my offering this act to the Lord instigating me, the Lord intuiting me. Though it's a simple intellectual activity that I am designing a house, but I see the will behind and His intuitive power making me draw. To that extent of assimilation, the whole thing happens by the Kirtana. How many saints you see, Prahlada himself, Dhruva, all these people you see, Meera, all Tulsidas, Kabir, all these people, Draupadi, just by the repetition of name of God, glory of God, Kirtana, Tukaram, always you can see moving about, Purandaradasa, Kanakadasa, all the singing the names and glories of God, they reach the ultimate goal of human life and existence. So this one, and how to do it? What must be our characteristics that we have to develop? If we go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is to get lost in the name of glories and God, singing the name Kirtana. Kirtana is mostly we see in earlier days, from earlier days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu plays an important part in the upholding this idea of Kirtana. Kirtana, Sankirtana, going on repeating a particular aspect of God and repeating it loudly in groups. There are two aspects that I must be saved, the whole world must go towards the divine. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, you see one important thing is the transformation of the world. Guru Nanak, transformation of the world. Kabir, transformation of the world. Not only me, but all others. They want to go in groups. They want to reach God. They want to dance and sing. And this part is what we call Kirtana. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written only one stuti of the Lord. In that he says, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuta. How, what must be our status? How should we do it? He says, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuta amanina manadena kirtaniya harehe. The how to sing the name and glories of God is you become so humble, humility, that the God sees what is within you. God doesn't see how much external glory you exhibit, but what is your inner status. Trinadapi sunichena. You are so humble, like a blade of grass. How a small breeze, small wind shakes it. So flexible, so smooth, so humble. And tarorapi saishnuta. And how much they can bear the sufferings or even the praises and believes nothing shakes them. Suffering or joys of life doesn't shake them. Tarorapi saishnuta. Amanina manadena. Amanina manadena. He gives respect and honor to everyone. Everyone. He doesn't expect anybody to honor him or give that respect without expectation of the respect and honor. Even if they belittle him, it is acceptable because he is like a blade of grass. So much flexible, so much humble. He doesn't expect anything, but he can bear everything. Unshaken in the faith of God, unshaken by the circumstances, unshaken by the people's comments, unshaken by the pain and pleasure, unshaken by the birth and death. So much of Sayushnuta. Amanina Manadena. He is giving respect and honor to every jiva. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go on singing, all the even animals used to listen silently without movements. Sometimes a few animals would be to the tune, like deers and all, they are very sensitive to sound. They would be shaking their head and dancing in tune with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. Means look at the radiations which transform not only human beings but whole nature responds to if you are truly devoted, if you are truly these three qualities which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the Trinajapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Savishnata, Amanina Manadena, then these three qualities will help you to Kirtaniya Sada Harehi. Kirtaniya. In that inner setup, if you do the Kirtana and God listens to that, what He expects a devotee to be, His devotee, God's devotee. What are the qualities that must be present in a devotee? What does God expect me to be? Ahankara shunyata. If I have little ego also, humility to the extreme level, like a blade of grass. Because he is totally dependent on God for everything, and God alone has to protect him in every step. His dependence, faith, and everything is dependent on the God's grace and God's protection. Look at the Prahlada's life. What all torture his father gives, what all punishment he applies upon him. But he is just going on calling on God. His smarana, his kirtana, whatever father says, he has only one support in life, he is God. Because of that, he doesn't have any ego. Because he is a small child of God and God has to protect. If there is slightest ego, then to that extent, my dependence, my love, my sacrifice, my surrender is less by that extent. So we see Amanina Manadena, Darorapi Saishnuta, then Kirtaniya Sada Harehi, Kirtaniya Sada Harehi. At all times, you go on chanting the name of God, chanting His glories, names and glories of God. We saw Sri Ramakrishna also in the first few classes what he says about how to cultivate love of God. In that we saw singing the names and glories of God. So this Kirtaniya, singing the names and glories of God. And this we see, this transformation. And in this state of my existence, the Hare Kirtana comes spontaneously. There is no obstruction at any level of my being for inner to, I had heard it. Now it is, I am assimilating it, and the God is as if God is entering, like the Mantra Diksha. In Mantra Diksha, we see the God is entering my existence, my being through the mantra. In the same way, this is entering into, God is entering into me, pervading all my, it is His energy now working. When I give myself to Him, it is His energy working. I see with His eyes, I hear with His ears, I work with His power, I do all things with His. I have no power, I have no independent, as much I get assimilated of my learning, of my hearing, of my adhyayana, whatever learned from Bhagavata or Bhagavad Gita or Puranas or from Vedas, whatever, the assimilation is most important part, and this Kirtana fulfills that in our life to slowly get it absorbed into our being. So we saw the qualifications also, and a few things we have to remember in this occasion is what is, as these things go, they display certain things in us. See, when you want to feed your computer with so many things, then as you go on putting some new matter, there will be popping up now and then. Your space is there is no space. Delete unwanted files. So you have to, as much you want to load, so much you will have to, because space is limited. Our existence is limited. When I'm trying to put the infinity into the finite, the unwanted files have to be released, unwanted files have to be deleted. And we see it is happening by automatically by earlier worldly desires, jealousy, hatred, so many things, likes, dislikes, so many things were within me, and that is getting slowly displaced in me. This is, as this is going in the Kirtana, I am hearing what all I acquired in this life, my tendencies, vasanas, what all I did in my through action, what all karma phala I got in me is only through hearing and seeing. Suppose these two instruments were not there, I would not have done much of the karmas at all. If I am not able to hear what others are speaking, and if I am not able to see what others are doing, what karmas I could have done? Nothing almost. So like that, the hearing, and I got everything from hearing and seeing. Ragadvesha I developed, Ahankara I developed, and all this development from childhood, what all I got has to be replaced. It was connected to the world and worldly ways and of materialism. Now that is being expelled. Each time I do the kirtana, same kirtana I am doing is entering through my own ears. Whatever I have conceived and now I am visualizing it before my eyes. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namah Shivaya. I am seeing that pictures as it is through my eyes. Now the divinity is entering and displacing the earlier dirt within me, raga, dvesha, ahankara, the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. All these inner enemies are slowly becoming weak and are going away, fading away, dying away, and whole being. This is an important part of our existence, that the inner dirt goes away and the external purification is there, and I am in tune with the nature, I am in tune with the divine, I am in tune with all beings, I am able to be divine and see divine. To that extent, we will see the rest in the same kirtana a little more. We will see in the next class. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.